Today I'm coming to you from my apartment in Nishi, Shinjuku. I'll be living here for just one more week, so while the weather's nice, I thought I'd film one video out on the balcony. Today I want to talk about Japan Sinks. This one is literally about the archipelago of Japan sinking into the Pacific Ocean. In the anime, it takes place over the course of about 1 week, and the anime itself is 10 episodes long. In my mind, I split this into sort of 3 different parts, a sort of beginning arc, middle arc, and ending arc. Each one roughly being about 3 episodes, and of these 3 different parts, I would say that the beginning is by far the best. At this point, the disaster starts to hit, and you see people dying left and right. Not just that, but it follows one very simple but important rule for the survival genre, and in my opinion, I would love to see this in other genres as well. That rule being that anyone can die at any time. You see characters you would not expect to die, not only dying, but dying in very callous manners and dying almost without any kind of foreshadowing, notice, or emotional buildup. This is really cool. I wish more shows did this, and I wish Japan Sinks actually did this for the entirety of the show. But as you get to the middle, you get to sort of a lull in the show where few characters are dying at all. If those characters are dying, they're just minor or random characters, and everyone's just kind of chilling out with a cult, basically. Some characters are just happy to have food and shelter, others are trying to expose the truth of the cult, but in any case, you kind of forget that Japan's sinking in the first place, and so the whole thing just feels like almost a side arc that's not really important. Now, there is some character development that goes on at this time, but plot-wise, nothing's really going on, and so it's fun to watch, but in my opinion, it kind of misses the point. And then you get to the final arc, where people are finally exposed to the disasters once again. Once again, people are dying, but it doesn't follow the rule of anyone dying at any time. Rather, you have characters either dying randomly if they're minor, or if they're completely random characters, or if they're characters that the show makes you want to die, actually, like a bunch of random racists. And also, if you have the main characters dying, they're not just going to die randomly, they're going to die after an appropriate amount of foreshadowing and emotional buildup, which I don't really care for. I wish the show didn't really do that every single time a character would die. Once in a while, sure, but once you stop at least believing that anyone could die at any time, the story becomes much more predictable and therefore less interesting. There's also the more general concept, not just anyone dying at any time, but anything being able to happen at any time. That also kind of goes out the window here. It's almost as if everything happens with perfect coincidental timing, either perfectly good or perfectly bad, like characters being saved from a disaster just in the nick of time, or a disaster hitting just as they're trying to get something done and now they're unable to do it. So that, after a while, it starts to feel a bit contrived, and it throws the initial message out the window that nature is impartial, it's callous, it's indiscriminate. At the end of the show, it's more like nature's just fucking with everyone with the absolute best and or worst timing. So overall, I would say the show is still a fun watch, overall single plus, but in my opinion, it definitely peaks in the first 3 episodes.